Hey everyone, and welcome. So let me ask you a question. What if you could literally gain professional superpowers? Well, today we're diving into how a new wave of AI tools is doing exactly that. It's completely transforming everyday work and unlocking some pretty incredible potential. Just imagine your mentor looking you straight in the eye and saying this. Ouch. It's blunt, for sure, but it's also a powerful wake-up call, right? It gets right to the heart of this massive shift that's happening in the professional world as we speak. All right, so let's kick things off with a story that might feel a little too real for some of you. It's the story of feeling like you're running as fast as you can, but somehow you're not getting anywhere. Let's talk about Riya. She's smart, she has an MBA, but honestly, she is completely buried. Her day kicks off at 8 a.m., and by 8:15, she's already drowning. We're talking hours of research, proposals that move at a snail's pace, and presentations that just feel like a mountain to climb. So, by the time 9 p.m. rolls around, she's exhausted and her to-do list is basically mocking her. And this right here perfectly captures Rhea's frustration. She was putting in all the effort, sprinting as hard as she could, but it felt like she was doing it in flip-flops. Meanwhile, her colleagues were just blasting past her like they were wearing rocket shoes. So, what was their secret? Well, the answer, and honestly the big turning point for her, came from a single conversation with her mentor, Arjun. This was the moment where everything finally just clicked. Arjun's advice was so simple, but wow, was it profound. He told her, you're not just competing against your colleagues, you're competing against their tools. See, they had unlocked these superpowers that she hadn't. The game was no longer about working harder, it was about working smarter with the right tech. And the change was, well, it was instant, staggering, really. In her very first week, a client email that used to take her 45 minutes was suddenly done in 4. By week 2, she's summarizing these huge, dense contracts in literally seconds. And by the end of the month, she'd automated huge chunks of her workflow. She wasn't just catching up anymore, she was leaping ahead. So you're probably wondering, how did she do it? Well, Ria's story isn't some kind of magic trick. It's about mastering a specific set of abilities that AI gives you. So let's break down the 10 core superpowers that you can start building like today. Just think of these as the new must-have skills for any professional. You can kind of group them into a few key areas, right? First, you've got your analytical powers, like super research and super decision-making. Then you have your creative side with things like super writing and super creativity. And finally, you get these awesome administrative powers, super automation, super productivity, that just handle all the boring, repetitive stuff, which frees you up to focus on what actually matters. Okay, let's make this real. This slide shows you the impact on a super common task, writing. I mean, we've all been there, right? Staring at that blinking cursor on a blank page. Well, with a tool like ChatGPT, a report that once took 3 agonizing hours can now be drafted and pretty much ready to go in about 15 minutes. That's not just a little better, that is a total game changer. And hey, it's not just about doing things faster. For that really deep, complex stuff, a tool like Claude is absolutely revolutionary. Imagine this. You take a 200-page legal contract and you get a perfect summary of all the key risks in just 90 seconds. That's a task that could have cost a company a fortune in legal fees. And now, you can just do it yourself, in minutes. Okay, but what about the skills you just don't have? I mean, most of us are not professional graphic designers. But with a tool like Midjourney, you can create these absolutely breathtaking, totally original visuals just by typing what you want. You go from spending a small fortune on a designer every month to a super cheap subscription, and you get magazine-quality images anytime you need them. It's incredible. So we have all these amazing individual tools, but you know where the real magic happens? It's when you stop using them randomly, one by one. The real goal here is to build your own personal AI operating system, where all these tools work together seamlessly. And this slide right here, this is the blueprint. It's actually a pretty simple 4-step process. See, you start with step 1, input. That's where you gather all your info with research tools. Then you're on to step 2, processing. This is where you actually create your content. Step 3 is all about organization, building what some people call a second brain. It's basically your own personal, searchable library of everything you know. And finally, you get to step 4, automation. This is where you connect all the pieces and make your workflow pretty much run itself. But what does this actually look like in the real world? We're not talking about small, tiny improvements. The results can be truly career-defining. Okay, so take a chief financial officer who actually did this. He saved 15 hours every single week just on prepping for board meetings. That's almost 2 full workdays he got back to think about high-level strategy instead of doing boring prep work. Or what about this one? A management consultant who increased her project output by 5 times. We're not talking about a 5% increase here. We're talking 500%. She can now handle 5 times the number of clients without working a single extra hour. And I love this quote from her because it just nails the feeling perfectly. She says it's not about working harder. It's about working like you have a whole team of experts, researchers, writers, analysts on call 24/7. And that brings us right back to where we started, with Riya. Because the result of her journey wasn't just that she stopped working late nights. She became a total star at her company. She got a big promotion, her confidence went through the roof, and really, the entire path of her career was transformed. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The thing you absolutely have to remember? It's not the fear that, oh no, AI is coming for my job. The technology itself, it's not going to replace you. But a person who has mastered these tools, who has unlocked these superpowers, they absolutely will. The race is already on. So the only real question left is, are you going to keep running in flip-flops? Or are you ready to strap on the rocket shoes?